The second half of the NBA season is now upon us, and it's looking like it's going to be very dramatic. Some teams that are going to be fighting for playoff positions, some teams who are going to be gearing up for their championship run, some teams that who looked it maybe at first that they were going to make a championship run might now actually just be dipping and may coming into their true form of not actually being a contender. And so in today's video today, what I'm going to be doing is breaking down the first half of the NBA season, looking at all the things that we learned from a lot of different teams, who are the winners of the first half of the season, who are some of the losers, and what are some of the questions that we might have for the second half of the NBA season. And so for all my NBA fans, stay tuned for this video. It's going to be really interesting, really great to kind of break down what happened in the first half of the season and see whether that's going to translate into the second half of the season. So what's up guys, my name is Philip and welcome to Psych Pass Shoot Score, your channel for anything sports and sports psychology related. So if you enjoy any sports, football, basketball, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to subscribe for more content just like this. And so far in the first half of the NBA season, it was actually really great. Like I think there was a lot of surprising things that happened, some things that weren't that surprising, but then of course there were amazing things that happened in the Eastern Conference as well as in the Western Conference. There were so many winners, there were so many losers, and a lot of those different variables leave a lot of questions unanswered, which hopefully we'll get an answer for in this second half of the NBA season. So first of all, let's look at some winners of the first half of the NBA season. And of course, the team with the best record in the Western Conference, the Utah Jazz, they were definitely winners of the first half of that NBA season. They started off this season not too bad after last season where they didn't really do too well, losing in the playoffs to the Denver Nuggets, but this time they were actually healthy, they have their full squad and they had a year to kind of gel with some of the new additions that they had, and all of a sudden, midway through the kind of first half of the NBA season, they just exploded and just dominated a lot of their competition. It wasn't even just the weaker teams or just the scrubs or some of the East and Western Conference teams, but they were facing off against some really good competition and just destroying them. Like it wasn't even close. And you can really see within their team, they have a lot of ball movement, a lot of player movement, making it so much easier for people to get wide open shots and stuff like that. And in all honesty, not gonna lie, it looks a lot like the San Antonio Spurs, the kind of vintage with all their ball movement. Maybe not as well polished as the San Antonio Spurs beforehand, but it's looking very similar. They have a lot of ball movement, a lot of player movement. They're not really stressed when the clock goes down. They always look for not just a good shot, but a great shot. And that has really helped them destroy a lot of the really high competition, high level athletes and teams that they were facing off in the first half of the NBA season. And from the Western Conference, let's now go to the Eastern Conference. We have to talk about the Brooklyn Nets. They were amazing in the first half of the season. I think a lot of us at first, we of course thought with KD and Kyrie on the same team, they're going to be explosive, they're going to be really good. But then adding James Harden as well, it was just, I did not see that coming, and they have been amazing with the three of them either together or two of them in combination in a lot of matches. James Harden is actually putting on an MVP type season, which is very surprising looking at how he was playing in Houston, looking kind of big, kind of not too great, but he now has been playing really well with that Brooklyn Nets. Now he's on a team that actually has championship aspirations and is constantly kind of working towards that. And not only has the superstars been playing well, KD, Kyrie and James Harden, but then the pieces around those superstars have actually been really well and actually been contributing a lot towards the team actually winning. They're not just only playing like good, mediocre kind of defense, but they're actually spacing out the floor really well and actually getting good open looks and actually knocking them down. And that pairing together has just made them so difficult to defeat. And I definitely feel in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's probably going to be the Philadelphia 76ers with Joel Embiid, MVP candidate, versus the Brooklyn Nets. I think that will be an amazing clash. Hopefully that does happen. Hopefully everyone is healthy. KD has had some injuries, so hopefully he does come back healthy, ready to go for the playoffs. And so keeping it in the Eastern Conference, of course, we have to talk about my New York Knicks. They have been so great in the first half of the season. A lot of different commentators and stuff like that, they did not see that the Knicks would actually be playing this well from the preseason and stuff like that, but they have been playing really great with Tom Thibodeau coaching amazingly and really bringing out the best in a lot of the players. Team wise, they've actually been playing really great, and that has helped them actually be in the conversation for a playoff push and potentially actually not only being in the playoffs but actually giving their opponents a good game, a good series, and then these are good foundational pieces to actually build upon in the next couple of years. And so breaking down why the Knicks actually have been playing well, a lot of psychological reasons are actually evident when you can see them on the court. So for example, the Knicks, you can really see that they have their identity, which is based on the defensive side of the floor, something that Tom Thibodeau is known for throughout the league. So you can really see that they have that defensive identity. And even when you look off the court, you can see that there's a clear structure in place of what the Knicks want to do in the present as well as in the future. And I feel like that combination of the identity and the structure in place in the whole organization, psychologically that helps athletes relax a lot more on the court. That actually allows athletes to understand what's actually required for them on the court on a night by night basis and how they can actually contribute to the team winning. And so by having that structure and identity, that allows the team to have a high level of team confidence that allows them to kind of structure everything around Julius Randle, the all-star of this season, as well as all the other pieces like RJ Barrett and Derrick Rose, making sure that everything's structured, making sure everyone has a lot of confidence. That way when they're on the court and being asked to do certain things, they already have a confidence and understanding and an identity of what is actually required for them to actually consistently win games. So you can really see that whole structure and identity really helps them mentally make sure they're geared up, ready for each game, and that's actually helped them produce amazingly in that first half of the season. So now that we've looked at some of the winners of the first half of the NBA season, let's look at some of the losers, some of the teams which are a bit surprising, not the greatest first half of the season, and look to actually why that might have been. So first, of course, we have to go to the Milwaukee Bucks. Starting off, the two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo signed that max deal, wanting to bring a chip home to Milwaukee, but it seems like they haven't been playing that well, and it seems like they haven't actually made that jump from being a really good playoff team to actually being a consistent championship contender and actually competing with Brooklyn Sixers, Lakers, Clippers, and other teams, Utah Jazz. It seems like they're not really in that category, and I feel like there's a lot of reasons why that might be. For instance, Giannis, it seems like he hasn't really developed and versatiled his game. It's still kind of the same which has been seen in the last couple of playoff runs, which hasn't really done well for them. But then it seems like he hasn't really progressed to that perimeter game, being more consistent and more confident as a shooter to then demand more space and to open up a lot of things for him as well as the different teammates. So it seems like there's some blocks within their team that they still need to kind of work on, and they have the second half of the season to actually do this. They added Drew Holiday, which by far is one of my favorite players, being a two-way player, offensively being able to structure the offense and be able to get his shot off without the help of a screen or anything, as well as defensively being able to lock down the opponent's best player. He's an amazing two-way player, but then with the different injuries and COVID protocol that he had to go through in the first half of the NBA season, it seems like they still haven't gelled well and actually put together this side that would actually be able to consistently win matches, not only in the regular season but then in the playoffs. So that is kind of one question that we can actually see what's going to happen in this second half, whether they're going to be able to gel well, whether they're going to be able to have good levels of team cohesion, so then physically and mentally they're all on the same page for when the playoff starts. This goes very well into the next part of this video, looking at some questions for some of the teams of what might happen in the second half of the season from the information that we learned from the first half of the season. So some questions that I have, first looking at the Lakers, the reigning champions right now. So one of my questions with the Lakers is what's going to happen with AD? We all saw that in the first half of the season he did not play well at all compared to the high standard that we're kind of just used to him playing. And then not only did that happen, but then he got injured towards the last half of that first half of the season. And so what's going to happen now in the second half when he comes back? Is he going to be 100%? What's going to happen with the way the team gels? They already have that championship on them from last season, so they have that championship pedigree, that championship mindset. So we all know if all things are clicking on all cylinders, the Lakers are the team to watch. But are they going to get back to that level? Who knows? That's a question that we're going to have to see for the second half of the season. Another question that I have is lots of teams who have been playing really well that were a bit surprising. Are they going to be able to make this consistent throughout the second half of the season and actually then get into the playoffs? So for example, we have my Knicks, for example, and we also have the Phoenix Suns or Portland Trail Blazers. Lots of different teams that have been consistently playing really well, but then who knows if they're going to be able to keep that playoff seed that they currently have, or if they're going to be lower in the seeds or higher. A lot of questions, a lot of different things because of how surprising the first half of the season is. Who knows what's going to be happening in the second half of the season? And I feel like that's just what makes the NBA this season so interesting, so surprising, so entertaining. We honestly don't know fully what's going to be happening. And so I don't know about you guys, but I am definitely going to be tuned into the NBA season, seeing what's going to happen in the second half. Hopefully my Knicks will be in the playoff position, have a great series and kind of build from it. Hopefully there's a lot of other teams, a lot of interesting things, different storylines coming up in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference. So I am so interested to see how everything unfolds when we then head into the playoffs and who actually is going to be crowned NBA champion for this season. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe for this channel for anything sports and sports psychology related. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.